Okay, guys, yeah. So, 1 minute, hold it down. Let me know if my screen is visible and I am audible to you guys. Hello.
Yeah, visible and audible.
Okay, yeah, great. So, last class we have done the theory, like we have done our lab setup, initial lab configuration. So, I have shared images with everyone. Hope you guys received. If you have not received lab
Yes.
images, please let us know. I will share you a lab image like router images, switch images, and firewall images. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have any
So
issues,
these images are global, or these images that we can use for other website, or only for
no,
uh,
only for our
this
lab
website?
setup only.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This can be used within our lab setup. Okay. You can
No,
say
I'm asking.
you can
No.
do a lab
Okay.
setup in
Okay.
your laptop also, and you can use. See, this
Okay.
can be used
Okay.
in EVNG or Peanut Lab. Whatever
Okay. Okay.
images I shared, that can be used in EVNG or Peanut Lab.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we'll do that now. So in last class we have done our switch configuration, our PC configuration, and our router configuration, ISP router, right? So today we will do first initial configuration of our firewall. See, whenever we have new firewall, we need to do some basic configurations to a firewall, right?
Screen is not visible.
Is it
Visible, Mahim.
1 minute?
Not visible for me.
1 minute. Let me know.
Now it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So in last class we have done specific configuration, like we have done this switch configuration, we have done this PC IP addresses configuration, and this particular ISP router we call this internet service provider router configuration we have done. Now today we will do a firewall CLI configuration. So why do we do a CLI configuration? First let us understand. See, this is not required in day-to-day configuration or when you are managing day-to-day operations. Okay. But suppose now you are going to do a new firewall configuration. Okay. So whenever you get a new firewall, basically either they would be having some dedicated or specific IP address. We call it a factory default IP address. Okay. So default IP address would be available for a firewall. If you don't want to use this default IP address, okay, then what you need to do, you need to log into a firewall using a console cable. After logging into a console cable, you need to do a IP address configuration from a CLI. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so you may need to do a configuration from a CLI command line. So how you can do a CLI command line configuration, we will understand now. So initially we need to do this CLI command configuration for interfaces. It is not our regular duty. Okay, whenever you have, sorry, yeah. So whenever we have a new firewall or whenever we need to do some minor changes in our CLI IP addresses or interface IP addresses, we may need to do this. So how we can do this, let us understand now. So now what I will do on my firewall on a port number 1, just a minute. On my firewall port number 1, I would be doing a configuration of a MGMT IP address, management IP address we call this. Okay. So what IP address I am going to give on a port number 1, this is IP address I am going to give. On my PC I am having this IP address. So you see my PC and my firewall port number 1 both are in the same subnet. So my PC can communicate with my firewall using a specific management IP. Let us do that now. Whenever you log into a firewall, initially there would be no password available. Just you need to give a username as an admin and press enter. It will ask you to choose your new password. So you can give your new password. It will ask to confirm your password. You can confirm same password. Then press enter. Now you can see config system interface port 1. By default, a interface is in DSCP mode. That means if you have a DSCP server, your firewall will get IP address from DSCP. We don't have a DSCP. This is possible in your virtual environment. Okay. Whenever you have a VM firewall, the interfaces would be in a DSCP mode. But when you go for a physical firewall, your firewall would be having an IP address of 192.168.1.99. Okay, then if you want to use this for GUI access, you can use, or if you want to change, you can go to CLI and change it. Or what you can do, if you don't want to do CLI configuration at all, suppose this is your firewall port number will be having 1.99 IP address. You can connect your PC. On a PC side, you can give 1.100 or 1.1 IP address, then log into a firewall using GUI. Once you logged into a GUI, you can change this particular IP address to some other whatever you want. Okay. Yeah. So, but now we are in VM environment, so we would be having a DSCP IP. We need to change it. Config system interface, edit port 1, set mode.
If it is a physical, sorry to interrupt. If it is a physical firewall, so do we need to configure some VM DHCP or VMware DHCP or
No.
firewall
Physical
DHCP?
physical firewall would be having a static IP address given. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay,
what usually happens whenever you have a physical firewall? Now suppose you have a firewall, new firewall you purchased. New firewall port number 1. This is a port number 1. By default port number 1. If it is a small box, instead of port number 1 you would be having a LAN port. Okay. By default on a LAN port we would be having a IP address of 168.1.99. Okay. So
okay,
this is your port IP address, and your PC you can give 1.100 IP and you can log into a GUI. Once you logged into a GUI, you can go to the interface configuration and change this IP to whatever IP you want. This is one way. If you
okay,
don't want to do it from a GUI, you need to connect a console cable to your laptop. This would be your console. Then you need to open a putty. Then same way what we are doing, same way you need to do it from a physical firewall also.
okay, okay. That console cable we need to connect with the management port, right?
No. Dedicated console
No,
port
that
would be
is
available.
okay. Dedicated. Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay. So now our port number 1 is in DSCP. I will change it to static now. Then I will say set IP. What is IP address I need to give? Then set allow access. Allow access means using whatever services I can access my firewall. I will say I want to access firewall from ping, SSH, telnet, HTTPS and HTTP. Okay. Then end. I have done my port 1 configuration. Now let me go to my PC. Let me check what is my PC IP. PC I have given 100.100. Now let me try to ping. I am able to ping my firewall now. So now I can open a browser and take access of firewall. I request if you are not talking, please go on a mute and you can unmute yourself. Tarun, you please be on a mute and unmute when you are when you have any questions, please. Okay. So now I'll open a browser and I'll log into a firewall IP. Whatever username password we have given here. Here we changed the password, right? Same password would be used for a GUI. Okay, I'll say I will save password. I will not log in again and again. Now this is the initial configuration. I'll say begin. Whatever the host name I need to give to my firewall, I can give. Lab firewall I will say. Then okay, optimal. Now okay. Now I am using this particular firewall. Now let us see dashboard walkthrough first. Okay. So what all things we would be having in our firewall, let us see now. So we are having one thing, network, come on, network option. Okay, 1 minute, hold on. We are having a network option. Under network option, you can do all interfaces configuration. If you wanted to do routing configuration, all things you can do under network. Okay, so now let us see under network what all options we are having. So if you see, we have interfaces configuration. Suppose you want to do any interface IP configuration or whatever you wanted to do for an interface, you can go to the interface tab and do it. Suppose you want to do a firewall DNS changes. By default, Fortigate would be using a Fortigate DNS IP addresses to resolve. You can do it. If you want to do like troubleshooting packet capture, you can use this particular tab. This SD-WAN static policy based router RIP OSPF routing table. These are all routing things. If you want to do any routing, you can go to this particular tabs and do routing configurations. That would be there for a interface tab. Then you are having another tab. We call it a policy and object. If you wanted to do any policy configurations like allow policies, DOS policies, if you want to do any address object configuration, whenever you configure any policy, you need to configure objects, source object, destination object. You can go to objects. If you want to do any services configurations, you can go to services like TCP UDP services. Okay. Then we will be having virtual IPs for DNAT configurations, IP pools for a NATing purpose. We would be having all these things you can do under policy and object. Then we would be having another tab. We call it a security profiles. Security profiles generally is like your URL filtering, antivirus filtering, DNS application control, intrusion prevention, file filters. So these are the security profiles you would be having to allow or deny anything, applications or anything. Okay. Then we are having a VPN configuration tab where you can do site-to-site VPNs or IPsec VPNs or remote access VPNs, whatever you wanted to do under VPN tabs. Then we are having a users and authentication. See, there are two types of users in Fortigate. One is we call it like users for policies, which means for your RAVPN users or your what we say your LDAP users. Okay, this would be used for your firewall traffic is for this is for end users, not for administrators. Okay, so if you want to create any usernames or anything for your end users, not for firewall login, then you can go to this particular tab. Okay, then there would be another user tab. See, in this users and authentications, you can go to your LDAP configuration or your radius configuration or your local user configuration. Okay, then you are having another users under system. If you go administration, administrative profile, these are all for firewall login. If you wanted to firewall management, network administrator or security administrator, whoever want to manage your firewall, then you need to go to system and administrators. Okay, then you are having a HA configuration option in your system page. Then if you want to do any firmware upgrades, you can do from system page also. Okay, then you are having another option, security fabric. If you wanted like external connectors or you want to integrate Fortigate firewall with any other Fortigate devices, like if you see we say fabric connectors, we would be having many other options, Forti analyzer, cloud logging. These are all Fortigate logins only. These are not local. Or if you want to say like Forti client, Forti sandbox, or Forti manager. Forti manager, how we will use, we will see when we are going into other classes. Like after some days, when we are going to Forti manager and Fortigate firewall, we will see Forti manager also. Okay. Then last tab we are having a logs and reports. If a traffic is flowing or not flowing, how we need to figure out. Suppose I go to Fortigate forward traffic. Here I will get to know source, destination, and what is the result, allowed or denied. It is hitting on which policy. I'll get to know everything. Okay. So this is just a dashboard overview. If you wanted to go to anything, you should be knowing. Tomorrow, suppose if you wanted to do specific configuration, like assume you wanted to do any static route configuration, so where you will go, you will be knowing, okay, under network I would be having a net routing configuration. If you wanted to write any policy to allow or deny, so you should be knowing, okay, policy and object, I can write any policy. So that was just a dashboard walkthrough. Any questions? Hello?
No questions from my end.
Yeah, nothing, nothing.
Okay, then we'll move forward. So now what we have done, we have just done a firewall CLI management access configuration, and we are able to take a firewall access, right? Then we have just done a dashboard walkthrough. Now in a Fortigate, see, whenever you have any firewall or any device, what is the first thing you need to do? You need to do a interface configuration, right?
Yes.
Right. So in a Fortigate, we have a different type of interfaces. Like we have a different type of interfaces in our routers and switches. Fortigate also supports different type of interfaces. Okay. Now let us see what are the different type of interfaces. In Fortigate, we have like physical L3 interface, or you can say layer 3 interface. Then we have a VLAN interface. Then we have a aggregated interface. Okay. So physical layer 3 interface means the on a interface where you can give a direct IP address. It would be used as your routed interface. Okay.
ISP connection will be directly connected to router, right?
Depends. It is not compulsory. Depends
We
on
can connect
environment
directly to
too.
firewall as well.
Yes, yes. You can connect directly to firewall.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah. So physical
okay,
layer 3
okay.
interface means it is similar to your router L3 interface. Then VLAN
But
interface.
if, sorry to interrupt, but if this ITSP connection is connected directly to router, okay,
Which
then
which connection?
maybe the ISP
Ha
is
ha ha.
connected to directly router,
Uh-huh.
and from router we are connecting to firewall.
Firewall. Okay.
Okay, so firewall will control both, right? How it will control the router?
No, no, no. Then internet. See, firewall will control all security things,
If any
policy and
traffic,
all.
that is fine, but if anything comes directly to the router, maybe from
Mhm.
ISP, and if any phishing attack or anything is coming directly, that also it will control, right?
No, till router it will not control. After router, if it is coming to your internal, then firewall will control.
Hmm. Okay, okay. I thought like ISP will be connected directly to the firewall, so that it will control rest of the nodes.
No, it depends. Okay, let us understand.
Okay, okay.
This is your router. Then your router is connected to your firewall. Okay, I am assuming very common scenario. This is your ISP. This is not your ISP router. This is your company router.
Okay, L3 router.
Your company L3 router. So generally, whenever you have this type of scenario, here you would be having one public IP. Suppose 100.1.1.1. Here also you would be having another public IP from ISP only, like 101.1.1.1. Then your firewall would be having 101.1.1.2. Okay, this is a common scenario. Now what will happen? Till this particular, if something is happening at this layer above this, okay, then firewall doesn't have any control on this. If something is coming below this, if attack is coming on this interface, then firewall can protect. Or attack is going beyond this, here your LAN,
Okay. If any attack is coming directly to router, whether
firewall
there
cannot
is,
protect that, right?
that is what I am
No,
asking.
no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Because firewall can only protect when the traffic is flowing from firewall. Above this,
Yes, yes,
firewall cannot
yes.
do anything. Okay.
So any reason behind it why they are connecting directly to router? If firewall already has a capability to connect over ISP, any reason why that is directly connected?
No, it
Any
depends on
scenario?
person to person usually, and suppose
Maybe customer requirement.
customer requirement, there are some compliance sometimes that your firewall should not be public facing. There should be some L3
Okay.
device before that who can do proper netting.
Mhm.
There are many designs available,
Okay.
but nowadays people are
Okay.
not using router, they are using firewall also. It is not compulsory nowadays.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
as we said, physical layer 3 interface, where on your router interface you can directly give a IP address. Okay. Then you would be having a VLAN interface. It is like your switch virtual interface. So I'll not come to switch virtual interface deep, because you guys are already aware about CCNA. So what is a switch virtual interface means, your layer 3 interface, right, on your switch, where you will do inter VLAN routing. Okay. So similar to that, your firewall can also have a virtual interface where it can do a inter VLAN routing. Then you would be having aggregated interface. Aggregated interface means your ether channel, or your LACP, you call it bundle interface or port channel interface. Okay, where you will combine one or more physical ports. Suppose this is your firewall. Okay, firewall is connecting to your L3 switch. Okay, in this case, either you can use this particular port as a LAN port or this particular port as a LAN port. In scenario, if you wanted to use both the ports as a LAN port, then what you will do, you need to do a port channel. In that case, you will bundle, you will combine both the interfaces to act as a single interface. This we call it a ether channel, right? So firewall can also support a aggregated interface in our environment. Okay, is it clear?
Okay. Clear.
So you can see here also, I'll share this particular document with you. So Fortigate firewall interfaces supports multiple type of interfaces to meet network design requirements. Based on the use cases, administrator can configure the following interface types. Physical interface. These are actual hardware ports on the Fortigate device used to connect the network. These are actually your hardware interfaces or port numbers. Okay. Then aggregated interface. Combine multiple physical interfaces into a single logical interface to provide higher bandwidth link redundancy. So this is nothing but your ether channel interfaces. Okay, this aggregated interface means your port channel. So you will combine one or more physical ports to act as a. So ether channel also has two protocols, right? One is a PAGP, one is a LSCP. PAGP is a Cisco proprietary, so FortiGate you cannot use a PAGP. So you need to only use your LSCP protocol in a FortiGate. By default, if you do aggregated, it will use only LSCP. So what does this means? Suppose, for example, if you are using a L3 switch here, okay, and this is a Cisco proprietary. So you need to use 1 minute, hold on. Okay. So if you are using the aggregated interface on a FortiGate firewall, on a Cisco also you need to use a LSCP protocol, then only the port channel will come up. Because FortiGate doesn't support PAGP or manual mode, so you need to use a LSCP mode only. Okay, so that means FortiGate only supports a LACP in a ether channel. Then you are having a VLAN interfaces, logical interfaces created on physical or aggregated interface to segment network using a VLAN tagging. If you want to do a inter-VLAN communication using a FortiGate firewall instead of L3 switch. So this, where we will use this particular thing, let us see now. We are having a requirement that one physical port. Assume I am having a requirement, very common requirement. I'll tell day to day we will get to know. This is my firewall. Okay. So I am having a requirement. one port or one side of the firewall. 1 minute, guys. Okay. Now this is my server side or my DMZ or whatever you call it. Okay. This is my L2 switch. Okay. On my DMZ, I am having 3 subnets. Where at my DMZ level. So I want like subnet 1 to subnet 2 to subnet 3. Assume this is my subnet 1. This is my subnet 2. And this is my subnet 3 at my DMZ side. And I am having another leg connected to my LAN. This is my LAN. Now if a traffic is going between my DMZ also, if a traffic is going from this subnet to this subnet, I don't want a direct communication. I want a firewall rules, firewall interruptions or anything. Okay. So what I can do, on one I can create a VLAN interfaces. Okay. So firewall will act as a gateway for all my DMZ servers. So traffic coming from one VLAN to another VLAN, it will directly go from firewall. Firewall will check the rules and it would be allowed. If there is no rule, firewall will drop that particular traffic. Okay. So this type of things we can do. It is similar to like how you will do inter VLAN routing with your L3 switch. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah,
Sure.
clear. But one
One
thing,
thing,
like
like
whether it
whether it
will
will
work
work
via
for
policy
policy or
through the
through the
interface
interface
on
on
the
the
It will
CLNA.
work. It will work with policy
Like
only.
allow.
Policy.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It is same
Only if the
like one
policy, if
one
the
physical
policy is
interface is
allowed,
divided into
then the
different
traffic will
ports.
flow, right?
Yes, yes. Now see, assume for example, this is your port 1, this is your port 2. If you want traffic from port 1 to port 2, you need a policy, right? Similar to that,
Okay.
you will divide one physical port into 3 VLANs now. VLAN 1, VLAN 2 and VLAN 3. Now, if you want the traffic from VLAN 1 to VLAN 2, you need to have a policy.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Come back. Okay. So that was all about interface.
Is
Any
there any
questions?
limitation that
Mm-hmm.
only this much virtual VLAN can be created in the port?
No such limitations.
Port.
No, no, no. Yeah. Then once we know what all the interfaces we have in Fortigate, then whenever we are configuring any interface, we have certain options like interface roles configuration. Okay. In Fortigate, whenever we configure any interface, we need to assign certain role. Based on these roles, we would be having features available. Okay. So by default, after configuring an interface on the Fortigate, it is important to assign a role based on its intended purpose. Okay. Like the role, the port would be of which type. For assume. Okay, we'll go to this particular tab only. Now I am having in my particular lab environment or policy this particular topology. This port is connecting to where? It is connecting to my LAN side, right? So I can give this particular port as a LAN role. This particular port is connecting to my DMZ, right? So I can give a role to this particular port as a DMZ. Then I may be having another port going to my internet. Then I can give this particular port as a WAN port. So based on this particular roles, I would be having certain features available. Okay. And whenever you want to configure a policy, you can configure like LAN to WAN or LAN to DMZ policy. Okay. So now let us see. Whenever you configure interface, you need to assign a specific role. It is connecting to LAN side or it is connecting to WAN side for you to understand also, and for if you want a specific features and all, then you need to have a specific role assigned. Okay. By default, a interface will not have any role and it would be having undefined role. And in Fortigate, we are having only limited roles like LAN, WAN, and DMZ. There is no other role available. Okay. Each interface roles comes with a specific features. If you select a role as a LAN, under LAN, we would be having an option of a DSCP server or support security modes, enable device detection. Security modes means if you wanted to do a captive portal, then you need to have only LAN option. You will not be having a captive portal option with DMZ or WAN side. Okay. And if you wanted to have a DSCP server option, then you need to have a LAN option. Now suppose example, I am having a small environment. I am working for a small customer.
Cap Captive portal is for the guest access to some Wi-Fi, those kind of stuffs, right?
In Wi-Fi,
Captive
in
portal.
wireless, it would be for a guest Wi-Fi. Okay. But you can use a
Oh, okay.
captive portal for your LAN users also. When the traffic is going
Oh,
out
okay.
of Fortigate firewall, then you may request the users to have authentication before they go. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we can assign the captive portal to LAN, WAN, any port, right?
Any port, yeah.
DMC.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
no, 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 no. Captive portal is only applicable to LAN side. That's what,
LAN
suppose,
side.
yeah, I'll
Okay.
give you example now. I have firewall connecting to my L3 switch or L2 switch. Okay.
Okay.
Then I am having some users connected in my environment. Usually you would be having a DSCP server in your environment. Now suppose you don't have any server to act as a DSCP server and users need a IP address, right? Then if you put this port into a LAN, a role of LAN, then you would be having an option to enable a DSCP server at your firewall. Your firewall will act as a DSCP server. For whom? For these users, for your users. Okay. And
Oh,
users
okay.
can get a DSCP IP from your firewall when your interface is acting as a LAN role, and it would be having a DSCP server option. If you enable or not enable, that is secondary matter, but that option would be available when your role is a DSCP role. Okay. Then second thing,
Okay.
you would be having a captive portal option. So what will happen now? Suppose these users are going to internet. This is your internet. Okay. When the users are going to internet from LAN to WAN side, firewall will ask, who are you? Okay. Once they give their identity, firewall will assign a specific policy based on their username. Okay. So that captive portal
Okay.
option also available in your LAN role. It is not available in your WAN role. Now example, this particular role instead of LAN, if you configure WAN, okay, then you will not have DSCP option, you will not have captive portal option, right? So based on a
Okay.
specific requirement, you need to configure an interface role.
Okay.
Okay. So that was we say. A LAN will have your DSCP server option, security modes option. In DMZ, we have a device detection option, but we don't have DSCP or security modes. When you have a WAN, you don't have a DSCP option, you don't have security modes option, anything. Okay. WAN, you just have IP address configuration and all. Okay. And there are certain things now. Whenever you have a WAN interface, you have an option to assign like what is the speed of your interface. Suppose you have 30 Mbps link, so you can assign to your interface configuration that I am having a 30 Mbps link. Okay, based on the 30 Mbps your internet would be distributed, or even if you have like SD-WAN policies and all, that will work fine, but that option not available in your LAN and DMZ. Okay, let us go to now our lab and we'll see. So for my lab, for initial labs, what we are going to do, let us see now. We will do one thing. This particular port I will assign as a LAN role. I will configure this particular port, I will configure as a WAN role. Then we will see what all options we will get for LAN and WAN. Okay, let us go to this. I'll go to network interfaces. Remember when I said whenever we want to do a interface configuration, we need to go to network and interfaces. First I'll do port number 1. See, the role would be undefined role by default, so I will say I want it as a LAN. Once I go to a LAN, what all options I will get, let us see. I have an option to do a DHCP server. If I enable, my users will get an IP from this particular range. I have a device detection, that means which device is connecting, what is his MAC address and all, that would be useful for me. Firewall will capture the details. Then I have a security mode option, that means I have a captive portal option in a LAN interface. Okay, so now I will save this and I will say this interface would be my management interface. Okay, fine for me. Then what is my second interface? I would go to port number 4. I'll click on edit. Then port number 4 would be my WAN side. Now I'll select it as my WAN interface. Once I select the interface as a WAN interface, I can give IP address. What would be IP address of port number 4? 100.1.1.1. You can see here I have selected the IP address /30. Okay, then I will select a ping option. But remember, I have selected the interface role as a WAN, so I am not having any captive portal or DSCP option. Okay, if at the same interface, instead of WAN, if I select a LAN and if I go down, I am having a DSCP server, device detection security mode, right? If I select instead of LAN, I'll select a WAN. I don't have that options again. You see, no DSCP or device detection option, right? So based on your interface role, you would be having certain options available. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was for our interface configuration. Now we need to do different type of interfaces. As of now, what we did very basic interface configuration like LAN and WAN interfaces. Now we need to do aggregated interface, which means our LSCP interface. Okay, so how does the LSCP works in our environment? Let us see. I am having the architecture like this is my L2 switch, this is my firewall, and at L2 side I want to bundle both of these links, and at firewall I want to bundle both of these links to act as a single link. Okay, so now let us see. Your aggregated interface at a firewall can be L3 interface or can be L2 interface, and you can have a VLAN interfaces on that. Okay, so first what we will do, we will create our LSCP interface and bundle or bind both of this port 2 and port 3 to your LSCP, and we will give IP address to our L3 aggregated interface first. Okay, then we'll see what will happen. At a firewall side, first we will do configuration at our LAN side. 1 minute, hold on. Close this, close this, close this, close this. Go to my switch Let me see, show VLAN brief. I am having VLANs configured. Now I will configure port channel. Interface range Ethernet 1/0, Ethernet 1/1. Okay. Switch port mode trunk. Switch port trunk encapsulation .1q. Switch port mode trunk. I assume you guys are aware about basic switching configurations, so I will not be able to repeat the switching things. Then I will say channel group 1 mode. What is the mode we need to use for LSCP? You see LSCP unconditional, so I will say mode active. Remember, if you use PAGP, your LSCP or your ether channel will not commit because firewall doesn't support PAGP. You need to use only LSCP mode at your switch side. Okay, done. Now my ether channel is created on switch, but firewall it is not created. So ether channel summary, as of now it is in down state. Okay, I will go to firewall and I will configure ether channel now. So to create any ether channel configurations, what you need to do, let us see. You need to go to network. You need to create a new interface. Under interface type, first I will say this like aggregated interface, not possible. Aggregated, I will say interface name. Then interface type, I can select aggregated or redundant interface, or I will select a VLAN interface. As of now I will say I will select aggregated interface. Okay, then interface members, and what is the interface role. As per our topology, what is the interface members? Port number 2 and port number 3. Okay, so I will say interface members, port number 2 and port number 3. Done. And interface, let it be a LAN interface. I will give a IP address like what would be my VLAN 10 IP address, or we can give IP address later, no problem. Okay, then I will say ping. We will just see if a ether channel will come up or not. Click on OK. Done. So my port number 2 and port number 3 is my aggregated interface now. So now let me go to switch again. Show ether channel summary. Now my ether channel came up, right? So that's like how you can create your aggregated interface on your switch site and your L3 switch. See, now you on firewall, what you have done, you have bundled both the links whenever you wanted to do a LSCP interface configuration at your firewall. Now on top of this LSCP, you can create a VLAN interfaces, and this VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 can be part of your aggregated interface. Okay, so now how we can do this, let us see. So now as per my lab topology or lab diagram, what I am going to do, I will create two VLAN interfaces, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Okay, and whatever the IP address I will give, I will give VLAN 10 192.168. Okay, I'll write it here. VLAN 10 192.168 10.1. VLAN 20 192.168 20.1. Okay, and I will enable a DSCP on both the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So you users will get a IP address directly from a firewall. Okay, let us see now. Sorry. Okay, done. So to create new VLAN interface, I will go to interface. I will say VLAN 10. Okay, then VLAN 10 interface. Instead of selecting a physical interface, now I am going to select a aggregated interface. Okay, then VLAN ID I will give VLAN 10 192.168 10.1/24. Okay, then I am going to select it as a ping. Then remember, I have selected the interface as a LAN interface, so I will be having option of DSCP enable. I will enable a DSCP, and I can select my users will get IP address from what range. Okay, I have selected these options. Okay, done. Aggregator interface, I am having a VLAN 10 created. Then I will select create a VLAN 20 also. Then interface VLAN 20. Then IP address I will select 192.168.20.1/24. Then I can go to DSCP and I'll say user could get from IP address from this range. Okay. Then interface aggregated interface. Okay. So I have both the interfaces now, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So now what we have done till now? We have configured one physical interfaces. Then we have configured LSCP interface. Then we have configured a VLAN interfaces, right? Now I need to check on top of VLAN, I have created a DSCP, right? So my VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 users should get a IP address. Now first let me check this port number 2 and port number 3 is part of correct VLANs or not. Show VLAN brief. Okay, part of correct VLAN. Now let me power on these things. I'll check if our users will get IP address or not. IP DSCP I need to say. I got an IP address from my firewall. Same thing I will go for another PC also. So both the users received IP address, right? If you want to confirm, how you will confirm now? Again, go to your dashboard. If you go to your network, you may be having an option of DSCP. Okay, just check your DSCP. You will get to know. Okay, one PC got IP address from VLAN 10. One PC got IP address from VLAN 20. Okay, so that's how you can confirm if your firewall is releasing IP address or not releasing. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. So any questions, anyone? Okay, so for today, what we have learned, let us recap. Fortigate interface types. Then what are the roles? Interface roles like in a LAN, WAN, DMZ. If you have a LAN role, what you will be having? You will be having option to enable DSCP server, or you would be having option to do device security, or you will be having option to do captive portal, right? In a WAN, you would be not having all these options, but you would be having option to give link speed, bandwidth of the link. Okay. Then in DMZ, you would be having a device security option. Okay. These are the three things we are having in the interface roles. Then interface types, what we have seen: aggregated interface, physical interface. Then we are having a VLAN interface. These are the three common interfaces we would be using in our day-to-day life in a Fortigate firewall. Okay. So we have seen these things. After that, what we have seen, we have done a lab for same thing, right? In a lab, first we have configured a LAN interface, then we have configured a WAN interface, correct? After that, we have done like aggregated interface configuration, like LSCP configuration. Same thing we have done at our switch side also. Then we have done a VLAN interface for VLAN 10 and VLAN 20, and we have enabled DSCP. So let me know any questions, guys.
Like what is that interface which you're
Sudhi, your voice breaking.
can you hear me now?
Sorry?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, somewhat okay. Tell me.
Capital interfaces.
Yeah,
No OTT.
we will see captive portal in deep. One particular lab would be there for captive portal. Don't worry.
And one more thing, if I'm configuring some DHCP server, if I'm already having DHCP server in my LAN,
Mm-hmm.
okay, as some VM server,
Mm-hmm.
uh, can I have this DHCP enable for failover
What
firewall
do you mean?
instead of if one DHCP server,
No.
if my
One
DHCP
DSCP
server
server
is
should be
on,
there, right? At one side, only
yeah,
one DSCP server should be there.
okay. No, if some primary goes down, secondary will make it up. Likewise, I'm saying. I
No, that
understand that
is.
ideally only one DHCP server should be there. Only one
Mhm.
DHCP server should be on. Just in case, like we can manually enable or whether it will automatically up during the primary is
It
getting
depends.
down.
See, for example, you are having a gateway, firewall is acting as a gateway. Okay.
Okay.
Then,
Mm-hmm.
then if you enable DSCP, will not send a DSCP request to any other server. He will only release IP addresses.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So ideally, it is not a good design.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, then if no questions, we'll wind up for today. If any questions, let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
So what I will be doing, I will be sharing this particular theory guide and this particular lab guide also with you guys. In this lab guide, we have shared everything like what we did today. Let us see. We have done an interface configuration. How we did. Just a minute. If you see how we did the interface configuration, we have done edit port interface, set mode static, then set IP address. So in my lab, I am using this. If you want, you can use different IP address also. We have given completely. Then firewall interface configuration. If you want to do WAN interface, LAN interface, how you can do, it is given everything here. Okay. Configure your LAN
This.
interface. Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Then configuring your aggregated interface. How you can do delete aliases, create aggregated interface in your firewall. So to create aggregated interface, go to interface, create interface. Then you need to select this particular options. You would be having aggregated, type aggregated LAN, port number 2, port number 3 bind to that. If you want, you can give IP address to aggregated also. Okay.
Okay. This guide only has today's
No, most
step
of the things
steps
will
or
be having.
okay. For entire lab for all 40 days.
Yeah. Well, not all 40
Okay.
days. It is there till 10 12 days. We would be keep on updating.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Then thank you guys. I'll share these things, and I assume you guys received images. If you did not receive image, let me know. I'll share. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.